Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And in tonight's episode, we are taking another look at the Bell-47G as version 1.71 has been released and promises some very nice improvements to this aircraft. Stick around guys, let's find out what they are. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkill's tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future updates and future guides that will be coming down the road. Link to Patreon can be found in the description below. Okay, so real quick to talk about the update. It is important to note that at the time of this recording, the Microsoft Marketplace is still waiting, the developers are still waiting on approval for Microsoft Marketplace release of version 1.71. However, if you purchase the aircraft from any other location, such as the FlyInside website, you can download the update immediately. Simply launch your FlyInside manager and or FlyInside Heli Manager, and it will prompt you to go to the download location. Now, what does this update offer? It offers an enhanced flight model to match the improvements made to the later versions of the engine. It also has an increase to 220 horsepower continuous available along with 240 horsepower with a 2-minute maximum. So you can really get this thing cranking for a minute. There's also things that we're going to need to be paying attention to as long as you have engine failures enabled, such as overstress indications, engine temperature, things like that. And making sure that we fly within the charted limits. Now, admittedly, I'm going to give you guys the heads up that I'm going to be paying close attention to the gauges, making sure we're staying inside the healthy ranges. But as far as looking at the charts, I haven't sat down to do so yet. I'm going to tell you guys real quick what I've always thought of this helicopter. And what I have always considered this helicopter, if you have it set on the realistic setting, is that this helicopter is by far the most difficult of helicopters to fly. And I say difficult in the aspect that I find it to be the most realistic. It is a helicopter that you never stop flying, in my opinion. From the moment that you start the engines up to the moment that you bring it back down, you are flying this helicopter. You're constantly on your cyclic and controls, rather with like the H-125s, 135, 145, you can typically sort of get relaxed for a little bit, especially once you get moving, where I find with this particular aircraft, you are constantly busy flying the aircraft, definitely having to pay very close attention to what you're doing. In addition, we'll also find a new static blade droop and dynamic blade combing effects. So as you can see here, as demonstrated, there's our blade droop here coming down. And that didn't used to be like that. It was just a straight blade as we would see before. Now, taking a quick look at the exterior, because we haven't looked at it in quite a while, you can see there's a ton of detail into this little helicopter. For how small it is, it really has a lot of effort put into it. This aircraft, again, I don't know if it's part of the airframe or what, and just the overall way it's built. It flies very light, but again, you're very busy in the aircraft. So it's a ton of fun, and I really hope that you guys enjoy this little video on flying this helicopter. So without further delay, let's go ahead and jump into the cockpit and get started with our flight. All right, so let's go ahead and get this bird rolling. Now, we are doing an early morning flight here in Tucson. So we're going to do batteries on, alternator on, do the fuel primer. What do we got here? I can't remember what we have all down here. Probably would help if I had my tooltips on. I need to go back and check the document at some point there, but we'll turn the strobe lights on now. Landing lights are over on the collective. Let's turn our fuel on. That would probably help. Let's turn that primer off. And magnetos. Transponder. We're going to go ahead and set that to altitude reporting as we're going to get up and moving right away. And let's hit our start switch. Rotor and engine RPMs in the green. Airspeed, manifold pressure. Let's set that altimeter. Oh, you know, I think we're set to default weather at the moment, so give me just a second. Let's turn live weather on. So we get that altimeter pressure correct. Should still be clear skies. No change to the altimeter when pressing the B key, so maybe that's just something that's not modeled yet. What do we got down here? Yep, in-op down here on the fuel gauge, it looks like. Carb heat, we should want to leave that at cool. It's a pretty warm day. Depending on your standards, I suppose. Alright, let's go fly a Bell-47G. Give me a second, I'll fix the camera here. Alright, flight controls, free and correct. Zoom that back in a little bit. Come forward just a hair, down a hair here. Alright, I think we're good. Alright, so adding in some collective. Get on the anti-torque. Let's just try to do a quick ground hover so you guys can see what I mean. It's see, it's a much busier helicopter than some of the others. And everything's about less is more, and that's one of the things that does take me a minute to get used to with this particular helicopter. I don't know why I started us in the cargo ramp, but we're out here in my hometown of Tucson. I'm trying to just get it into a nice ground effect float here. So you guys can see how challenging even that can be for a novice like myself. I do not in any way, shape, or form pretend to be a pro with helicopter flight. I have found that the more you stare at the ground, the worse it gets. So I try to find a focal point sort of out in the distance and just sort of try to keep it in one location. Sort of same principle to formation flying, if you will, if you're doing close formations. Just try to find a spot on your window, find an object out there, and then just try to keep it there, but while arresting your forward momentum. So we're not going to spend a ton of time on this. I'm just trying to show you guys the difficulty level, and this is on realistic flight model or realistic settings inside the heli manager. And it's just come on, easy. We're almost there. There we go. There, so you can see what it took to get us there. Now me being able to hold it is a whole different scenario, but there we are. And watch the cyclic. I'm still trying to focus on my spot out there, but hopefully you can see the little movements that are required in the cyclic. Oh, I think I'm on the ground. Let's pick it up a little bit higher. There we go. Anyway, all the little movements that you're seeing there on the cyclic hopefully gives you sort of an indication of what I mean by you're constantly flying this helicopter. Alright, let's go ahead and come off to the left here. Real gently, I said, bring it around. And you can see our manifold pressure is a bit high, so let's get it rolling so that way we can bring that down a bit. Little shudder there as it goes into transition, I think. And the trim does work. You're welcome to trim the living crap out of it. Alright, so coming ever so slightly off the manifold pressure. Just keeping it under 2,500 or 25 inches. And let's see, where did we just come off from? There's the Lisa Frank factory, if any of you still remember Lisa Frank. My dad actually installed a gate out at her house, if memory serves. That building is really there. It really does look like that. We are also using the reshade preset that I displayed in yesterday's video if you guys want to check that out. It's definitely much easier on the eyes. The colors look much more natural. I'm very impressed with this. I really hope at some point we get a fix for all these trees. The trees just, it really ruins the scenery for me. I mean, it's not that we don't have trees in Tucson, but they certainly aren't like this. Like, this is downright fern gully and overgrown, as I'm sure many of the areas are. I don't think that's limited to Tucson by any means. But even then, what I want you guys to sort of pay attention to while we enjoy the little flight is just the constant oscillation of the helicopter, the continued actions on the trim stick. And again, remembering that I am by far a very novice helicopter pilot when it comes down to any kind of accurate simulation. Or unless, you know, it has, you know, all the bells and whistles, the flight control, stability systems, and things like that, then obviously that makes it a lot easier. But this one doesn't have any of that. You've got the trim, but you don't have any of the autopilot junk. I mean, you know, actually I don't know if you have autopilot. I would assume not. I haven't ever tried to use it, nor would I. Well, let's see. Yeah, no, my autopilot controls don't do anything, so that's good. Let's see if I can get some kind of decent control back of this helicopter now that I screwed everything up with that. And I am trying to trim it and see if I can get it to where she'll just behave herself. And the thing that I absolutely love about this helicopter and what brought me back to it so long, or so many times, prior to Christmas I was actually flying this quite a bit, and clearly I have gotten out of touch, but I love the bubble canopy. You know, it's wonderful for anywhere that you want to do some sightseeing and really get down low and really experience, you know, some of the scenery that Microsoft Flight Simulator has to offer. It's an amazing helicopter for that, and you get the constant, continuous challenge and workload of flying a helicopter without, you know, wanting to pull your hair out. The fact that the engine failures are modeled and you can truly overstress the aircraft, obviously that adds a sense of realism and gives you much more awareness to what's going on with the aircraft. I gotta see that gauge down there at the bottom, hopefully without crashing. Okay, we're good for the moment. Oh, there she goes. Okay, easy, girl. Whoa. Alright, so this is Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, and we're going to make a pass over it that would probably never be authorized. Let's see, what happens if I switch the carpy down to hot? Is that going to bring those cylinder temps up? Definitely lost some power. I see, so now, yeah, we got to really come off the collective. We've lost a ton of manifold pressure, so that's some great modeling there. Simply by turning the carb temp heat up, we're now getting, looks like too cold on the engine temp there, or the cylinder temp, if I'm reading that right. And then by setting it back to cold, got tons of power back. So your configuration is something that you really have to take into consideration with this aircraft, and I love that. I'm pretty sure that's carburetor temp is what that is down there. Easy, girl. Yeah, see, now I got myself all messed up again. And that's the interesting part is, well, not the interesting, I would say this is one of the more challenging parts of it is if you do, as I've done here now twice, and really let yourself lose control of the helicopter and let all of the dynamics that you had set in just go to hell, you're going to spend some time getting it back. Oh my gosh, they fixed Davis-Monthan. When did they do that? How did I miss that? I guess I haven't well, I guess I don't fly over Davis-Monthan much anymore, but... So, in one of the updates, maybe it was update 5 or 6, this whole thing was dirt. All of the terrain was gone, or all the asphalt and markings were gone. And it's all back, so it looks like they fixed it. It must have been some sort of terrain elevation issue. Interesting. That's good to know. Alright, let's just keep it nice and smooth here now that I've semi got it back. Alright, so here we are now coming over the Boneyard, as everyone likes to call it. The airport graveyard, just the storage yard. I believe it's the largest aircraft storage facility in the world. It has to do with our climate. We don't get a ton of rain. We don't have a lot of moisture that's going to sit and rust and rot on the aircraft. Obviously, nice flat open desert. Keeps things easy to get these aircraft up and moving again if we need to. Which I'm really hoping that we don't. Especially with all the horrible things that are going on right now. But anyway, no spoiling the movie, right? This helicopter, I think, is a fantastic model. I think it's a great place to learn because you don't have all your bells and whistles. You know, it's sort of like, it's funny when you think about it. You know, a lot of trainer aircraft, at least, you know, like my dad was getting his private pilot's license. You know, we didn't have any of the 172s with G1000 suites or things like that. I mean, heck, this was probably 20 years ago now, if not longer. So the 172s we had out here to train with, they didn't have autopilot and things like that. We had one or two every now and then that you could rent that was actually available. But you had to do everything, you know, by the book. And I think that's what's great about this helicopter is because it doesn't have all the bells and whistles, autopilot, SAS, and stability controls or stability control augmentation system, the SAS. You know, you're just stuck flying it, and so you get that nice, smooth, gentle pace. You know, it's not a particularly fast helicopter; it sort of cruises. I think we're doing about 60 knots, a little under here. Probably be doing a lot better if I could maintain my altitude. Actually, I seem to be doing okay with that for the moment. Oh, spoke too soon. But yet you also can just look around and enjoy things. Let's try to do like a center on point too, and that's another fun one that I do find really enjoyable about this helicopter. Again, it goes back to that bubble canopy. You can see so much that, you know, if you see something that you sort of want to hover around, or like we can do that pretty easily here. Whoa, a little lag there. So let's see, give it a little right cyclic clear. See if I can still do it. We'll just watch this yellow ping pong ball right here. Trying to get a little lower. Oh, there's a couple of them. We got a couple different colors to choose from. You can watch the yellow or purple there. How's it going, Bill? Oh, I'm doing great, Fred. Just trying to figure out how to get to work here. So it's a real fun helicopter to start doing things like this because, again, you don't have anything helping you do it. So you just have to, it's a great way to learn how the helicopter's actually flying. Let's see if I can get it into some sort of a decent hover here. Stop that side momentum there. I'm not very good at hovering on altitude, I'll tell you right now, on any of the helicopters, but we're going to try it. Oh, now I'm getting it rocking. Doing too much now. Come on. Come on. Come on. But this is what I'm talking about. You know, so I guess it really depends what you're looking for from the aircraft. Now remember, this is on the hardest configuration settings. And watching that manifold pressure here, we're approaching that line there. Trying to keep it under the 25 inches. But anyway, you guys got the gist. I told you, I'm not great at hovering this one. I can get close to it, but I always end up moving one direction or the other. And it's just practice. I don't fly it anymore as often as I'd like. I will be now. It's one of those things that's what's great about these updates and doing these videos and stuff, is it gets you back into aircraft that you've sort of blatantly forgotten about. But this is a really, really wonderful aircraft. I think it's $34.95 or $39.95, one of those two, on their website. You can find out in FlyInside. You can even just Google. I'll have a link to their site down in the description below, but you can always just Google FlyInside Bell-47G, and it'll pop right up. But this is a wonderfully fun aircraft. I highly recommend it. There's that manifold pressure again. Watching those temps, keeping everything in the green here. Let's go ahead and take it back home and land it. Probably at a place other than the cargo ramp. That would probably be beneficial for just about everybody involved at the airport. Nothing like having this little helicopter blocking up a cargo spot. And they have comes with a ton of liveries, including your MASH livery for you MASH lovers. And you can tell it's more challenging because this is actually one of my favorite things to do in the helicopters, is to get them down low, scrape the treetops, really just get in there and get dirty with it. And this one's requiring much more effort. Really having to pay attention to the actions on the cyclic and my anti-torque pedals. Everything's coming into play with this helicopter. And I don't feel like I get that experience with any of the other helicopters currently available. And again, that is not to say that all the other helicopters aren't wonderful aircraft. They absolutely are, and I love flying them. I think it just, it's a different beast. It's a different kind of animal. That's supposed to be an F-14 that actually stands off the ground. It's on a pedestal. It's a statue, if you will, from the east gate there. I wonder why there's so much of the terrain that's still so flat, but yet some others aren't. It's kind of odd. Right out there's your... Oh no, the air show would have been back over there. Never mind, disregard. Oh, see, I'm getting myself oscillating again. I mean, it's constant. You're constantly correcting. Again, I do find that one of my curses in the helicopters is I tend to do this too much. I'm looking at the ground right in front of the cyclic there versus, still keeping my head up. Which is really dumb when you think about it, because it's sort of like running with your head down. Which my 4-year-old will attest it is not a smart idea. She does it all the time. And, well, like I said, you can imagine how that turns out. Running with your head down. Doesn't tend to go well. So it's kind of interesting that I tend to do the same thing, because I don't know if it's just me in the habit of looking around, but especially when I'm trying to, in low altitude or in transition from, flight to hover or something like that, or takeoff to flight. I always have my head staring down at the forward nose there. That's just not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Even though Jenna said I could. I think the sounds are wonderful. Let's go ahead and get some outside images and see if I can maintain it. This one's always hard for me to do that. Ah, see, and that's why. It's hard when everything's backwards with a helicopter. Yeah, nope. I'm gonna crash us if I keep that crap up. And you can hear that in max collective. It did not like that as that manifold pressure shot through the roof. So maybe as we get closer to the landing point here, maybe we'll stress it out a little bit. Well, actually maybe I won't do that because, again, completely honest, I have no idea how to do an auto rotation. So maybe that wouldn't be the smartest plan for me, huh? I love the textures of this helicopter. I love the detail that's being put into it. Like I said, the sounds are great. The engine animation is great. I mean, the fact that you can just look back and see it all in action. Alright, getting close to home now. That's the other thing that's always interesting about flying a helicopter is it completely changes your perspective on the approach. So low, you're not looking for the runway anymore. There's the executive terminal. Let's land there. I think a crop duster version of this helicopter would be kind of neat too. Everything's still in the green, doing about 70 knots. Reducing collective to arrest the ascent. Now is where we're going to have to start really driving that anti-torque. Monitoring that descent rate. Oh, sorry, my foot slipped off the rudder pedal. Make sure we clear those parking lights, the ramp lights. Let's watch that forward airspeed. My eye on my target now. Come on, don't lose it yet. Ooh, don't do that. Don't do that. All right, so now my passengers are screaming their head off, wondering if I'm going to be the end of them. Oh, baby, come on. All right, close enough. We are down. All right, so let's see here. I think we just need to kill the fuel here. Magneto's turned off automatically. Alternators and batteries. Landing light can get turned off. Alright guys, and that is the latest release of the Bell-47G from FlyInside. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If this is an aircraft that you'd like to try out, I highly recommend it. It's a ton of fun and is really going to give you a challenge while giving you a nice flight experience in a helicopter. So as always, guys, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.